All right, this is an update video on the car. It's come a long way since the last video of it up outside with us dropping the motor in. So now inside the car, the motor is completely configured. The headers are on. All of the factory brackets are on. Power steering, alternator air condition, and everything we've done on this is factory fan shroud, all the GM hoses, the big fan clutch in there, 7-blade fan. That's a Dewitts radiator. It's the biggest one they got. Very nice radiator, very expensive. All of the brackets, I pretty much customized every one of these brackets from the factory quadrajet stuff. I cut them up, re-angled them, welded them back together to fit the holley. You could buy stuff like that, but not with the cruise control, you can't. And that is the downshift cable for the transmission right there. That I'll probably have to do some adjustment on. Have not messed with it yet. Have not put a breather in because we're getting ready to do a ordered it the 70Z28 dual snorkel holley drop air filter, factory reproduction piece that'll look stock on this thing. More than likely, it's not going to flow for this 870 CFM carburetor, so I'll probably have to, cut some holes in different places on the back of it and kind of cheat it that way. But I'm going to try and make it look like it's supposed to be there. So everything I've done to this motor is kind of the way a factory setup would be if it was a big block car. And the only thing different, of course, you've got, instead of the motor being orange, it's black and aluminum, and the valve covers are different. And you wouldn't have a 502, it's a 454, because if it was a 454 at any of these years, you just have a quadrajet and a low rise intake. So everything has to be up here, all has to be different. And this is different than a Chevelle or any of the big LS6 things would be too. It's just way bigger. So everything has to be a little different to get that look. The headers are the Sandersons, and they went in pretty nice. This side here, I did use gaskets. I used the high-end, what brand were those? But they're complete graphite gaskets. One plug had to get a sock on it there. It's pretty close. And I even have the back compressor bracket all in there. You can see that all done, all set up right. All the pulleys are right. What else? So this side was pretty easy, and I have it's open headers right now because I haven't built the exhaust yet. We're just probably going to modify an American Thunder, Flowmaster exhaust for this, and I'm going to use the side exits like the El Camino should have, with like Chevelle bell tips on it. So and this side here was not easy. It was very hard. And we're talking, when I put the engine in, I didn't even put the motor mount bolts in because I knew I was going to have to jack it up. That side I didn't have to jack up at all. You just throw it in underneath, it was perfect. This side here is another story. I jacked the motor all the way up to the transmission tunnel, and you still could not get it in. I basically had to take the motor, lay it over about 20 degrees off the stands here, in the shop, like that one sitting over there, up on the lift, this lift here, and get it up in there. And so that's kind of what made me decide I was going to put gaskets on these, because if you were going to do the Sanderson way of using just the gasket sealer, the Permatex stuff in there, the high temp stuff, you couldn't put it in there. There's no room. And to try and let it cure and then stuck the header in there, you'd end up knocking it all off. So these headers had enough room to get the gasket in there and torque them all up, and it did well. And really they fit well. There's not a problem with fitment at all. So everything with headers is just a nightmare. I mean, anytime you look at it, but these intermediate headers here, Sandersons with a big inch and what are these things? Inch and 7/8 or something, or two. I don't even remember what these size. They're big ones on the big blocks. So they're not small, and they're made to flow with this motor. So we're going to build out a good 3-inch system on this car after that. But I have another video that I actually did before this one of it. It's just running open header, and we got all the air out of the radiator and some coolant in it, and check for leaks everywhere. And everything's going together real well on this. Of course, this is a little bit different. This motor's run before. It's just, it's a very low mile motor that was in another project that I bought it out of that. And so the motor, it's broken in, it's ran, different configuration. Had to put different oil pan on it and everything like that. Changed up a lot of stuff, but as a whole, the long block is, it ran before. So there's your Edelbrock aluminum water pump. Of course, this is an all long pump, or long pump setup, a long pulley setup there. I'm gonna do a lot of detail here. One of the things that I haven't got yet for this one is the Holley air conditioned solenoid, which goes right here, which will kick the idle up just a little bit when the compressor's engaged. Not that this motor needs much of that, but I'll still use it. I mean, I always do it on pretty much every project I do. So hopefully the air cleaner will work on this. I think it will. It's I've seen it on Chevelles with 502s in them, and people have done a pretty good job with them. So I think that's going to work out. It'll look real nice. So I'll do another video when I do that. And that's, the big block fan shroud there too. So that had to be changed to go to the small block. And that's how it's set up. And you can see the big clutch in there. And that radiator, that's, you get what you pay for. That Dewitts radiator is nice. That's a quality piece, that's for sure. Then you got down here, this is a mechanical fuel pump with all of the LS6 plumbing on it. So hopefully that pump will supply enough. Good thing the Holley bowls are big. I think it'll do okay. We get some vapor lock, maybe a problem, but I'll have to deal with that later. But again, I'll tell everyone right up front, this ain't no race car. It's just a powerful car. And it's gonna be, nice setup. Haven't done it yet, but I'm gonna put one of the plate transmission coolers up here from like one of those trucks over there in the corner. It's a big block truck. So I'm gonna add that in. Even though this radiator, with the size of it, the transmission cooler is going to definitely work better than any of the GM factory radiators, even a 4-core. So, but that's going to be added. And I also have a, I think it's 3.5-inch deep transmission pan with the tubes on it. So that's doing everything I can to keep the transmission alive for a little while until the motor tears it up, I'm sure. But we'll see. It's a turbo 350 behind a 502, which is generically a no-no. But I said we went and did the B&M trans pack in the thing before we put this motor in there. And being that this is, the El Camino came with a 4-bolt engine because it's considered a truck, no air pump, no smog pump, or things like that on it. And then the transmission, I would think, would be considered a truck transmission too for a 350. And usually they have some extra clutches in those. So I'm hoping it does. I don't know. We'll find out. But I've run turbo 350s on big blocks before, and they've done real well. Once I've done the good full valve body kit in there and things like that. But if it blows it up, I'll probably do the Sprag upgrade on it, and then see how that works out. And if that doesn't work out well, then we'll look at other options, which may be a 4L80. But I kind of want to keep that away from this car, because the neat thing about the turbo 350 is it takes far less power to run that transmission than the other ones, and the gearing is pretty good on them. And with the 273 rear end and this thing and the torque it has, you don't need an overdrive. It's going to be tall gears to begin with, but it'll still move out real good. And I've done these before in different combinations with 273s and these big high torque motors, and so they work well. A lot of people tend to overgear these. They'll go to 355, 373s, and even 410s. And if you're not just putting drag tires on the car and trying to do some quarter-mile stuff, you're hurting yourself, because this motor is not a a super rever. It's a super torquer, but it will rev. I mean, there's 5,500 RPMs, no problem. And I know guys that run these things to 6, and that's with the stamp steel rockers on them too. So I don't intend to do that, at least not on purpose. I'm sure I will, but I'm not setting out to do it. So little loose ends here. So the exhaust is really the main thing here. So the engine seems to be, you know, I've got the timing set. I preset it before we did any startup on the thing. Got it at about 10 degrees and with the vacuum pot undone. And then it gets up to about 28, kind of 27 or 26 kind of at idle when you hook the vacuum advance up. And then it gets up to about, right around, I really revved it up when I was doing the timing light, maybe 3,000, 2,700 RPMs, and it was getting in the 34, 36 range there. So that's kind of where you want them, I think. Most of the time, it is, you can almost tune these by hand. I've done it for so many years. You kind of, on these engines that aren't super high compression, and you know, these are 9/8 to 1, so it's not low compression, but it's not like it's an 11 to 1 motor where you get that timing off, you're gonna jack that motor up. Kind of like that supercharged car over there. We really were critical with getting the timing set on it. As not so much on this. It's just more of a ballpark, and I can move it, leave the distributor just enough to where you can play with it a little bit by hand and see what it does. But that's kind of the update on it. What else can I say? I said, yeah, the hardest part of after dropping this motor in was dealing with this side header, and it was not for amateurs, that's for sure. I mean, you'd have to have if you did that in your driveway, I don't know how you would do it. It would be really difficult, but we were able to do it here, you know, once we figured out what we needed to do to tilt the motor over. But like I said, if they were both like the driver's side, it would be nothing to it. So the next steps after the air cleaner and all the little detail stuff, and we'll get it out and get the exhaust done, and actually have a cheater thing. I've ordered a 454 catalyst or non-catalyst emission sticker just to make it look like that. And the car will now get its 454 factory badges up here, which I've been holding off until it was worthy of doing it, and it's getting close to being worthy of doing that. So that's where these El Caminos in 74, 73, 74 would have had those. Let me get those here just for fun. Oh, where have I got them in here? So, close that. So there's your factory. These are actually, you know, reproduction, but they're the factory exact. So that's where your 454 emblem goes, right there. Just take some time, clean that up and get it straight. But yeah, I'll do that a little later when I can concentrate fully on it. But so yeah, they actually make a 502 one for these that has 502 on it, the same style. Thought about putting that on there, but yeah, kind of wanted to make it look like it was just a factory big block car, and then when you pop the hood you go, oh wow, cool. So we'll see how that turns out, but that's the update. And if you I'm gonna start it up again on this video. You saw the other one, you can hear it run, but I'm just going to crank it just for a second, just to see it run. But I won't be able to talk when that happens. So here goes. I'm going to end the video right after I crank it up for a second. But thanks for watching. Here goes the motor. anyway, that was it. And yeah, the Sandersons, you know, we actually have the attachments on them, so they point down to where they're not, the exhaust flame's not hitting anything. So I'm comfortable running them that way. Usually, sometimes if you open headers, you could tear crap up with your car pretty bad. But these are pointing, like I said, down. They've got the parts you adapt the exhaust to on them, the 3-inch collectors that have a short piece of exhaust pipe already on them, which is nice. So perfect for what we're doing right now. Anyway, that's the video. Thanks for watching, and check back in later.